So the battle between Call of Duty and Battlefield already heating up this year with the war between YouTube likes and dislikes. Battlefield 1 currently sits as the #1 most liked YouTube trailer on YouTube, and Call of Duty is the #2 most disliked video of all time, which is quite a feat. And it's currently only behind Justin Bieber, which I think if we're all completely honest with ourselves, I don't think anybody would try to claim that Call of Duty is actually worse than Justin Bieber. But I said this the other day on Twitter, and I really do believe it. It doesn't matter how many dislikes or hate Call of Duty gets this year, they're still going to outsell 95% of the games that come out. And that's the way it's always been. And I just don't see that changing anytime soon. And I think they're marketing geniuses by including Modern Warfare, the Remastered edition, in with this new game. Because I think if they just released the game on its own, then Battlefield might have a good opportunity of bypassing it in sales this year. But there's a lot of people now who are going to buy this game who wouldn't have otherwise bought it just because of Modern Warfare, which is arguably, one of the best in the series and one of the most successful games in the franchise. So you better believe it's still going to sell no matter how many dislikes are on a video. But one company that we really haven't seen a whole lot of remasters from is, and it's kind of surprising actually, is EA. That's not to say, though, that the idea is off the table, and it could be that Battlefield strikes back with a remaster of their own one day. In a recent interview, when asked about a possible Battlefield remaster, EA's boss said they wouldn't say never, and that if fans wanted a remaster, then there's no reason why they couldn't do it. Now, I don't think you're going to see a remaster, anytime soon. I don't think there's going to be a remaster that comes out alongside Battlefield 1. But while I've said in the past that I don't think a lot of these games deserve to be remastered, there are some that I've also said I think, I wouldn't mind seeing remastered. Red Dead Redemption was one of them, obviously, I've talked about before in the past. But also some Battlefield games I wouldn't mind having redone, in modern art, having on modern servers. And so I think for me, probably the obvious in the series would be the Bad Company series. Almost every Battlefield player I know wants a new Bad Company game. And my fingers are still crossed, that we'll eventually get one. But the creators of Bad Company were actually on Twitter not that long ago saying that they don't think that there'll ever be another Bad Company game because all those guys that created that, they've left. And so they're not at DICE anymore. They're not at EA. But, of course, EA still owns, the IP. So there definitely could be a new in the series. But I think it was just a unique setting. And the gameplay just set itself apart, I think, from everything else on the market. So I definitely wouldn't mind seeing those games redone if they were done right. The other games in the series that I wouldn't mind, revisiting, Battlefield 2, I thought was an awesome game. I spent so much time, so much of my life on that game. I thought it was just awesome. And so to see that, kind of brought into present times, that would be nice. I also wouldn't mind seeing Battlefield 1942 or Vietnam. Now, I know that we got a little bit of, they had 1943 and they had, that Vietnam expansion pack that came out. But with those games, anybody who actually played the original, you realized right off the bat that those were basic bitch levels. You didn't get hardly anything that you saw in the original. And there was so little content there that it pretty much pissed you off more than got you excited. Not to say that I didn't enjoy 1943, that I didn't enjoy the Vietnam expansion pack, but there were just so many awesome moments, so many cool, maps and everything else in those original games that never came over to these expansion packs. So, people probably didn't understand just how great those games were back in their time. And, I remember playing Vietnam back in the day on the PC, playing the original Vietnam. And, it was just so badass hearing choppers flying overhead while you're in the middle of a firefight. And they're playing Jefferson Airplane and CCR. There was an awesome soundtrack that went along with that game that made that game. It helped at least make that game. And then whenever they released this latest Vietnam patch or, expansion pack, whatever it is you want to call it, it was just so little content and a piss poor soundtrack that was basically just Ride of the Valkyries, just over and over. It seemed like every time I jumped into the game, that's what somebody was playing on the radio. So if you're not going to do the remasters justice, if you're not going to do them right, then I'd rather just not do them at all, you know. But if they brought back some of that original content and then actually redone it all and brought back everything that made those games so great, then I think it would be a fantastic experience, and I think it would sell a boatload of copies. But those are about the only Battlefield remasters that I'd be willing to vote for. So which ones would you want, or would you want any Battlefield remasters at all? Or do you just want to see them just focus on the future and just leave everything else in the past? All this Battlefield talk recently actually got me to re-download Battlefield 4 the other day, so that's the footage that you're taking a look at right now. Hopefully Battlefield 1 lives up to the hype that we've been seeing, and I hope that it doesn't release with the same problems that Battlefield 4 had. I think Battlefield 4 actually turned out to be a great game, but I got burnt out at the launch pretty much by all the issues that they had at launch. And so by the time that they actually got everything, kind of done out, they got everything fixed, I had already moved on to something else. But it was fun jumping back in the other day and blowing stuff up. So that does it for me, the Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Are you listening? Damn.